Welcome, welcome, welcome. The first Melanie Loves Death Metal podcast episode. Um, I don't know how often I'll do this. Right now, I'm going to do this monthly and probably have some people on with me in the next couple episodes. But I figured for the inaugural one, you just got me talking into the camera and the microphone. Um, and I'll use this first episode to cover some questions that I get asked frequently and talk through a little bit of topics that's been going on in the death metal sphere of social media. And yeah. So, yeah, I've been meaning to do this for a while. I recorded one way back a few months ago and noticed that the sound was messed up after talking to the camera for 2 hours. And I was like, well, fuck this. I am not doing this again. um, and the topic has come up a couple of other times now. People have asked, you're going to make a podcast, you're going to do a podcast, you should do a podcast, you should do a podcast. You really, we like your opinions on things. Okay, sure, I'll do a podcast. Stroke my ego a little bit here. So the evolution of this is going to be interesting to see. I definitely want to bring in some bands, labels, YouTubers, friends. Probably going to start off with friends first, where we have a set list of topics we want to discuss for our show and see where this goes from there. I know everybody does this. There's so many of these out there. I have no expectations of having this become super popular or anything like that. Just kind of fun content to make, create a conversation with my following that I've somehow managed to create in my short time on YouTube. So all right, today I'm going to cover some things about the state of the channel, what I'm planning on doing this year, kind of recap a little bit for the people that may not be too familiar with who I am, if you're new subs or anything like that. And yeah, let's get into it. So it is January 2023. 2022 was a very strange year for me. You saw ebbs and flows on this channel. From when I first started this channel, I was posting weekly, 3-4 times a week. Really into it. And they were very basic videos of just me showing you what I recently bought and put into my collection. And then that evolved to talking about reviews and doing other types of pieces of content. To be fully transparent, the most views that I get on this channel, the most feedback, the most likes are the Death Metal Collection update channels. People really, really enjoy seeing what I've purchased, what the vinyl looks like, who released it, what the tape looks like, what the CD looks like. Like, there's a niche for that on YouTube, and those people really, really love those videos, and that's my highest performing videos on this channel, with the exception of my all-time favorite lists of, like, my favorite albums of the year, my favorite albums in general. Those perform really well. People absolutely love that stuff. They eat those types of videos up. You can only make so many of those, though. So those aren't going away. I'm still going to continue on those channels. What I do want to start doing is trying to create more of a community around my YouTube channel, as well as being more involved with the YouTube community that I've gotten to know. So that's starting this year, and I'm sure you probably have noticed that I have been on the Heavy Metallurgy channel a lot recently, whether it be in the chat, trolling, or on a stream. Marty and Alan are two of the greatest guys that I've met since I've started my YouTube channel. I absolutely love what they're doing over there. I think that they've got a good formula going. I think it caters a little bit more to my metal tastes that I really enjoy. They don't just focus on one genre of metal. Like, they're across the board. They talk about black metal, they talk about thrash, they talk about heavy metal, they talk about power metal, they talk about death metal, they talk about old school, they talk about new school. They do all those types of things, and I like that. They don't just focus on new releases, and that's what a lot of the YouTube channels currently follow do. And there's no problem with that. So if you're watching this, like Metal Meltdown, Robert, the guys, the Thralls of Metal, for some reason you're watching this, I have no problems with that. You guys have set a standard for those types of videos. I really enjoy them. You have a great following. Marty and Alan kind of tend to stray more towards of living into the past years and digging more into the history around those types of things. So I'm going to be more involved with the Heavy Metallurgy channel this year. I've pretty much have like thrown my hat into there and said, hey, get me involved as much as possible, because I just, it's a lot of fun. I really like the community that they've created over there. I mean, hell, I got to stream with Austin from Panopticon. Uh, and that is like a top of, getting to know Ken from Ken's Death Metal Crypt and Mark Riddick. Like, those are like my top three moments since becoming a metal YouTuber. Um, and I highly credit, Marty, Alan, and Ben from Brain Smasher, Simon from Explosive Action, Ken from Ken's Death Metal Crypt. Like, all of them embraced me as soon as I started this channel, and they've just pumped me out, and they've promoted me, and they've gotten me included into things. So, obviously, I feel forever indebted for that reason. Created a great relationship with them. And so, yeah, I fully plan on immersing myself in other YouTube realms, not just expanding this one. I started this channel as a hobby. I didn't think it was going to turn into any sort of a thing, really. I was shocked when I even got 100 followers. And of course, that has evolved over the last, almost 2 years now. I'm almost to 3,000 subscribers, which is obviously not a lot compared to, like the major YouTubers, but still, that's a lot more than I ever expected. So with that said, I'm still doing this. I'm still going to have this channel going. I'm still going to be making videos. I'm still going to be buying new stuff and showing you things. But I'm also going to try to incorporate more content, try and get more of a community following with that, and try to expand a little bit more this year. Put more time into it, a little bit more effort. I've been adding a little bit more editing into my videos, not all the time, as I have time to do what I do. Unfortunately, this isn't my full-time job. I wish it was. I would love it if it was. So as money permits, I may start paying an editor for doing some stuff where there's more in-depth videos that I want to create with like sound clips and imagery and stuff like that. But for right now, the Death Metal Collection updates are not going away. Black Metal Monday is probably going to still stay on Black Metal Monday. And I might start incorporating some other videos here and there. Like today, I recorded a newer video that I'm planning on unveiling where I go more in depth of just talking about one record. It's my all-time favorite, one of my all-time favorite death metal records. It's considered a gem in my collection. So I'm going to start doing a series like that, which now leads me into my next topic. So the future of this channel, again, I think I've built up my Melanie Loves Death Metal brand by promoting these underground, smaller labels that pump out new music, new death metal bands, new black metal bands, new grindcore, whatever subgenre you want to call it. And that's where people have started following me. And I've been exposing them to new music and new bands. And I'm still going to do that. That's not stopping. So if you're watching this thinking, oh no. What I want to do more of, and what I think will make me a little bit happier to do, is to talk about older things as well. And when I say older things, I mean more in the vein of 90s, 2000s, early 2000s, even far back to 80s topics. And, it's been across every other YouTube channel, so it's not anything new. This isn't anything groundbreaking. But what I want to do is start talking about older albums and deep diving into them just a little bit more. Maybe not necessarily like their whole entire discographies, but trying to get some stuff on the radar that people may not have heard way back in the day. So similar to what Ken has been doing in Ken's Death Metal Crypt, I consider him our historian of death metal. He has been doing these videos lately, which I absolutely adore and love, and I hope he continues to do this, where he's doing a spotlight on a label that is, from way back in the day of the 90s death metal realm, and talking about the releases that they did, and doing a really in-depth, like, basically history lesson. He's done 2 videos so far on Drowned Records or Productions. Sorry, Drowned Productions, I think is what it is. I always say records, like, right away. It's either records or productions. Anyway, and he's done 2 videos on them, and he's essentially gone down the discography and the history of the label and what they've released, and he's talked about the releases, and he's shown them, and he's played clips of them. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's, again, I've watched, and Ken, if you're watching this, like, I've watched those 2 videos about 3 or 4 times now. Because to me personally, a lot of it is nostalgia. And yes, like, I am only 38 years old. I obviously have not been into the scene like Ken has. He's been very intertwined into the underground death metal scene. Like, his collection is bananas. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, mine, that's not the whole vinyl collection. I'm reworking, like, my office is insane right now. I'm moving distro stuff around and reorganizing things, and yeah. Anyway, he's got this wealth of knowledge, and these videos are incredible. And for me personally, I prefer to watch those YouTube videos, and I never anticipated me doing anything like that, and I'm not going to do anything like that. But what I do want to do is start focusing in regards to what I buy for my collection, and go back to what I initially wanted to start doing when I started collecting vinyl and CDs and tapes again. We're getting the things that I once had a long time ago, getting them back in the collection, and those are things that have been out forever. Old things, things that I love, things from my childhood in regards to metal, and try to find these older relics and have them. So I've started doing that, and I've started buying those types of things, and that kind of sways away from the promotion of the newer records, and I have to kind of fluctuate the money around of what I decide to buy. So I'm not getting the releases like I used to. I'm sure you've noticed, like, I was getting almost every new release on Gurgling Gore, Desert Wastelands, Life After Death, Frozen Screams, Corpse Gristle, Goat Throne, like all those smaller, is what I meant to say, underground labels that I just was pumping out. Caligari, Carbonized, all those labels. I've slowed down that because I've been trying to get some of the older records, and those older records are stupid amounts of money, and I'm trying to limit what I buy so I can account for buying something that's a little bit more expensive. So what I've told myself is, even though I'm not buying these tapes in excessive amounts like I have been, or as soon as they release, which I'm not, and I'm sure you noticed, there was so much stuff I left off of my year-end list last year. I could have easily had a top 30, top 20. Previous years, I could have had a top 100 because I was buying so much music, and that's slowed down a lot for that reason. Because when I first started collecting physical media again, my initial thought was, I'm only going to buy the albums that I love. So I started with Death, and I bought those records. I started with Opeth, I bought those records. I started with Archgoat, and I bought those records. I started with Autopsy and Cannibal Corpse, and all these bands that I just absolutely adore and admire as a fan. And then I spawned out to buying new releases, and that became kind of a stupid addiction. There was this like fear of missing out that was happening, where I'm all right, every Friday, Bandcamp Friday, I'm going to buy so much shit. Every Friday, new release Friday, I'm going to buy as much as I can, like, and stay up on the new releases. And that was the main, like, meat and bones of this channel. And then this channel started to feel stale and hard to produce content because I stopped doing that because my spending was being crazy. And what I didn't, like, really put one and one to is I can still listen to this music on Bandcamp, and I can still buy the digital downloads. I can still talk about them on here, as long as you guys continue to watch those videos. And so I've been experimenting and throwing those types of videos in here, and they're doing well. People are watching them. Again, you guys do prefer that I show off physical things, especially with my death metal collection updates. But I just want everybody to know my spending has slowed down quite a bit. And the new release stuff, I'll try to stay on top of it now, like I said, digitally. So yeah, I might start doing not necessarily like, hey, what I've bought in my collection, but hey, this is what I've been listening to. You should check it out. And still try to promote those new releases in underground bands and those underground labels and still consistently keep up with that. So just a, fair warning, that's how I'll start incorporating that a little bit more. But I do still want to try and throw my money at them and try to support them. So again, I'm buying digital downloads, which I know they don't really get a whole lot from that, and buying what I can. So yeah, again, like my initial thought on doing a collection and building a collection was only buying the albums I love, the old albums, and then I got into like the whole new release thing. I'm still not gonna. I mean, I'm not stopping altogether. Like I've been buying some new stuff that's come out already this year. One of them I'm going to talk about at the end of the show. Because, oh my god. But yeah, I mean, the other part of this conversation that I wanted to segue into is Ken has a formula on his channel. He has a following. He has content on his channel that I think are crucial things that just are amazing. And he's such a huge influence for a lot of the things that I've started doing and a lot of things that I've listened to. Like, there's just no doubt. Like, I can't even act like I know some of these things on my own. A lot of things I've been buying have been because of Ken. And that's why he's one of the main reasons why I started doing this. Like, he would do his updates and it would just be all these things that he's got sent to him of all these bands I've never heard of. And that's when I got into it. And I still absolutely love those videos. And he's slowed down a lot with that. I think he's pretty much done like doing those right now, at least from what I understand. And he also has stopped his Instagram, like it's gone, like he's shut it down. And Ken has said several times in the past, like on streams and videos and just conversations in general as a whole, like he's tired. There's going to be a time where he doesn't do this anymore. And he wants to just kind of make sure he passes off the baton to other people and and he essentially did that when he had all us on his stream for all these YouTubers of like, who can continue this type of stuff going on, who can wave the banner of death metal. And it's sad to think about. Like, I think about the day that Ken turns on his camera and says, this is my final YouTube video. I'm not uploading anymore. That means no demos, no EP updates, uploads, no collection updates, no live streams. I think it'll be a very like sad day for me personally, and probably for a lot of people, not just me, because I think that's probably my most frequented YouTube channel. I go back and rewatch a lot of things because he shows off so much, and like I question, like I'll see something available, I'm like, wait, is that the CD that Ken was talking about? And I'll go back and I'll find it and I'll listen to it. So it's like an archive. It's like a history book of death metal, and that wealth of knowledge is so greatly appreciated for me. Like I said, those Drowned videos that he's been doing lately are just amazing. I just think about if he were to continue that series and do it like once or twice a month and focus on these underground labels and show off these rarities and gems, like, my God, I would just be in heaven. Like, cause that's what I love about his channel, are those things. And I've thought like maybe I should start doing that. Maybe I can continue that on. I can't. 100% can't. I unfortunately have not been exposed to any of these things. I was not in that era of bootlegs and tape trading or anything like that. So to get my hands on these things would cost so much money. Like, there's been a few records that he's shown, or tapes I should say, that he's shown lately that I've put on my want list on Discogs, and they're like $30-$40 because they're over in Euro land. Like, I imagine if I did that, I just put $40 on a tape to try and get into my collection. Like, Jesus Christ, I would go broke. So I can't do that. I wish I could. Like, I would love to do that. But I am going to try to get more of those
rarities and talk about them a little bit more on here. And it'll probably be duplicate of already what Ken has talked about, because he's pretty much covered everything under the sun. Well, not everything. His collection is massive. But yeah, I mean, I've been like weighing these things of what I want to do. And do I want to try and segue into that? And so I might dabble a little bit of like, hey, this is an underground EP that I learned from here, or I knew about back in the day and I once owned, and it's now back in my collection. So that's kind of along the lines of the Death Metal Gems video series that I'm going to be starting. Some things have been getting a repress, and thank God for represses, because that is how I'm able to get these into my collection. And that has helped me with this series. So I think I have about 5 or 6 lined up of recordings I'm going to do of recent represses that I've been able to nab. Or I got lucky and found a first press and somebody was not being an asshole and they sold it for a decent price on Discogs. And like, it's so fun. Oh, you guys don't understand. Like, the rush that you get when you find an EP or demo or a first like initial release that you absolutely adored that came out in the 90s, and you just like, you loved it. It was like one of the first death metal records you ever heard and just never got a repressing, and somebody puts the tape up on Discogs for $16. You were like, oh my God. Instant buy. That's recently what just happened to me with the Morgoth release. As soon as I saw it, you've got to be kidding me, and I bought it. Those types of things I absolutely love. It's almost like death metal hunting. Anyway, I've kind of gone off topic. Like, there's a rush around that. I would like to start doing that more, incorporating that into this channel. So new school is still going to be there. Old school is going to be more incorporated into this long-winded topic of what I'm trying to say about this in regards to the future of this channel and the content around it. Ken has established a huge mountain to climb for anybody to continue that banner. I imagine in like 20 years from now, if there's anything like a YouTube still around, I would probably be the person that's showing off, this is Gate Creeper's first album. This is a rarity now. Like, that's probably going to be my genre of things, and continue on. But I don't want the work that Ken has been doing, the things that he's been doing, to be forgotten. And I still want to like cherish those things and make sure that people still know about them. So that's why I've ultimately decided, like, I'm going to try to get some of these things and have them in my collection and try to get more people to know what they were and appreciate, essentially what they've done, because what they've done has set a precedent for what we're listening to now. So like, those are things that goes on in my head that I've been thinking about. So yeah, like old school death metal hunting, a new channel series I'm going to do, probably where I just throw up Discogs, try and find a relic that I've been looking for and buy it. Kind of like what's that show, Pickers or whatever, where they just like go to old houses and pull out antiques. Like, this will be me pulling out antiques on Discogs. So I'm going to probably do something like that. I'm also going to continue death metal collection updates and promote the new bands and labels and whatever else. And then also the Death Metal Gems of my all-time favorite death metal albums. Focus just on that album. Like, talk about it just for a tiny bit. Show it off. I've got it in my collection. Yay. And that'd be it. So those are 3 things of the content that I'm going to be doing on this channel. The next thing. A lot of people ask me to do reviews. They want me to be honest and critique an album and not just only show off the things that I love. I've dabbled on that. I've thought about it. And the reason why I'm so against putting that on my channel is because there are so many other YouTubers that do that, and they do it very well. And that is what their channel is centered around. Thralls of Metal, The Metal Meltdown. I'm missing one more right now. Like, those guys do that, and they review new things like every single week, every single day.
and they do it really well, and they're honest on there. I mean, shit, Robert's super honest, and I totally appreciate that, because I think like that's the best thing. Oh, Banger TV, even though they don't always cover like all of the metal, but and so I've purposely not done that on this channel, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be a thing. So be on the lookout. I am going to start reviewing elsewhere, and you'll see what I mean soon. I pretty much have said yes to a project where I'll do some reviews. I have a hard time gathering words, as you guys know, on this channel, of what I want to say. So I'm taking this more seriously and really putting my thoughts to paper on what I think about things and how I think they sound. So those are coming, just not on this channel, but you'll see what I mean. I'll announce it when it's official and out there. I don't want to blow anything right now for anybody, but yeah, that's in the works. So I figured I would just at least call that out there so that people stop asking me. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that people ask me on YouTube are like, are you going to be doing these types of videos? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do live streams? You should do live streams. You should get this person on and do a live stream. And I would love to do live streams, but like at the same time, I feel like I'm not a good interviewer. I don't know what the hell to ask people. I'm so like selfish in that I would just generally want to know, like, hey, what is your daily routine? Like, who the fuck cares about that? I do. Other people might not. But like for me personally, like if I got, say for whatever reason, I did get like somebody like Travis Ryan from Cows Decapitation on my show. It's never gonna happen, but I'm just saying, like, everybody knows the history of Cows Decapitation, especially if you're a fan. Like, you know, when their first album was released, you know the stories of how the band got together, then where the name came from, the themes around their music. Like, what the fuck would I ask him? They have a new album come out, which is gonna be press released everywhere, like on every metal blog and every interview. I would just ask a lot of the same things that all those other people are asking. So like it would just be boring repetition. It just wouldn't be right. And similar to if I were to get some underground death metal new band on here, like again, I would just be asking them probably the same stuff that everybody else would be asking them. I just don't see much fun into that. Now, if I did a live stream where we focused on a topic similar to what Heavy Metallurgy does, where, for example, I got Travis Ryan on the show and we talked about what we've been listening to and not about cattle decapitation, would that pique people's interest? I don't know. Maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I would love to do live streams. Maybe someday I'll get into that. But for right now, I'm happy with just going on other people's channels and doing live streams and letting them run the show. I would much rather do probably a podcast off a live stream, get a guest on. We have a document of set topics that we want to discuss, talk about them, and see how that goes. So that's probably where this is going to expand. I just need to reach out to some people and get some ideas of how to do this. So, all right, enough about what the hell I'm going to be doing this year. Let's talk about some music, should we? Yeah, let's talk about some music. So what are some of the releases that I am looking forward to in 2023? The thing about a new year is it's hard to know like what's coming. They announced some things towards the end of the year, like this is coming out in January, this is coming out in February, this is coming out in March, and I don't always see them. And it feels like a little stale in January of like not a whole bunch of new releases, but I digress. This year has seemed a little bit different than that. January this month has been Leper Colony, Obituary. Leper Colony is a brand new band out of Germany. Mark Groove from Morgoth is in it. Roga Johansson from Paganizer's in it. It's being released on Transcending Obscurity. I was looking forward to that. That actually came out last week, and same thing with the new Obituary album. We've got Ulthar on 20 Buck Spin. They're releasing two studio albums next month, which is probably one of my most anticipated releases. Devangelic, which is on Willowtip. It's like a brutal death metal band. That just got announced as a pre-order not too long ago. I listened to the single and that shit sounds great. I don't know anything about the band, but that sounds great. That's coming out in April. Comatose Music, which is a brutal death metal label. I don't always listen to the stuff that they post. Like, again, brutal death metal is hit or miss with me. I get very, very bored sometimes with the new releases, but Depraved Murder's coming out with an album in March. It's a band from Indonesia, and what they've released so far, I really, really, really like. Um, so those are the ones that I can name off the top of my head. Tribunal is a death, like a doomy band that's coming out on 20 Bucks Spin. I think their new album comes out this Friday, January 20th. I have that on pre-order, so I'm looking forward to that. Um, Man, I think Sango Sugarbog, don't they have a new album coming out fairly soon? Let's Sango Sugarbog. Let's look that up. I'm excited for that. Like, I think that band's great. I don't know why people hate on them so damn much. Yeah, Homicidal Ecstasy. It's coming out next month, February 3rd. Looking forward, very much looking forward to that. Ashen Horde was another one that I had in my head that I was looking forward to. I think they're is that black metal? I'm trying to remember if that's the band that I was thinking of. Let me look it up really quickly. Yeah, it's progressive black metal. That's coming out at the end of this month, 27th. That's a release that sounded pretty good. The Ahab album, I think, did that just come out? That I have to listen to that. I was looking forward to hearing that. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of things that are coming out within these next couple of months that I'm looking forward to. I have heavy metal the Metal Archives up right now, which if you didn't know, Metal Archives lists off everything that's coming out and like what the genre is, if it's a full length, if it's an EP, if it's a reissue, if it's a compilation. There's a Deicide comp coming out. Is it next month? Which I saw and didn't know about until I looked at this page, so I thought that was pretty cool. I'll probably buy that. Which, on that note, Deicide has all of their releases being pressed onto vinyl right now in a special box set on Run Out Groove, and I have that on pre-order. Yes, I did buy it. And I think that's coming in July, so I'm looking forward to that. That's for sure. Hopefully they release that a little bit sooner. They repressed some of the Fear Factory albums last year, Demanufacture and Soul of a New Machine, and those got delayed. They took forever for me to come. I'm hoping that the delays are done. Morbific has a new live album coming out February 2nd called Something I Can't Pronounce. Looking forward to that. That's a great band. I loved their album that they released last year, not that long ago. Coffin Nail, it's like a hardcore punk death grindcore. I heard some of that. I thought that sounded good. I was looking forward to that. That's coming out next month. Like, there's a lot of things now that I'm starting to see and starting to put on my radar in terms of what's coming out in 2023 that I'm excited about. I cannot for the life of me remember. There was something that was announced last year that was like, oh, Hell Ripper. There we go. I was super excited about Hell Ripper. I have that on pre-order. Hell Ripper's so good. Such great black thrash. Holy cow. If you've never heard Hell Ripper, you gotta check them out. It looks like Enforcer's releasing a new single in February. All right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things coming out that I'm fully aware of now. Gurgling Gore just released Troll Cave. I have that. I'll talk about that in an episode. That's a really good release. Sentient Ruin has what is that release? Let me go to my Bandcamp wish list because it's in my wish list on my Bandcamp. That's coming out I think next week. Is it or is it next month? Negative Vortex, that's what it's called. This is like really, really good, ferocious, like blackened death metal, almost a little bit death doomy. The band is from Brazil, but they're based in the U.S., so Brazilian U.S. based. Yeah, it's like a death doom, very like dissonant album. This is coming out January 20th, so this weekend. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of things. If you're ever interested in like what I am looking forward to, I've been trying to update my wish list on my Bandcamp. I'll link in my description what my Bandcamp profile is. Um, on a bit of a brutal death metal kick right now, um, and that's not something that I get into too often. So there's a lot of releases that I've wishlisted on there, and I just all I've been listening to. You can blame Cannibal Corpse because I started getting a couple of their albums I didn't have, and then that just segued into looking for newer music. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to in 2023. The latest thing that I wanted to talk about. Um, moving on to a new topic now. I started getting more involved with Twitter in regards to the metal music space. So now I've had Twitter since it ever started. I've had Twitter for like 16 years now. And I've primarily only used Twitter for following news and following politics, friends, sports, and then video games, esports stuff. I follow bands on there and a few people from bands, but for the most part, I get most of my information around what's coming or who's saying what from Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram. Not so much Twitter. Since I've gotten heavily immersed into Instagram and meeting people on there, like I have tons of friends on there, I said, let's see what this Twitter space has. And I started following some people on Twitter that are very like active on there. They have a little bit of a community following where they show off like new tapes that they have and they talk about new releases. They talk about death metal. And that unfortunately opened up a floodgate of what I call metal Twitter that is so goddamn annoying. Like, oh my God. I don't know if I'm like sheltered or I don't pay enough attention on Instagram and other social media. Like, I know Facebook is a cesspool, but I choose to ignore the comment section. Like, it's easy to do that. On Twitter, that is what Twitter is. Twitter is the comment section. Like, that's all you see. And my God, I've come across some of the most annoying goddamn people in the whole metal space. Like the shit that they post, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it has enraged me to the point of where I've been going into like my group chats with my friends and just being like, look at this fucker. Who is this guy? And ranting. And I guess that's what Twitter is. Now, at least that's what Twitter is. I never used it for that type of format ever. But now with all the changes that have been going on, they changed the feed to have a For You feed and then who you're following. And the For You feed are the fucks that I have no choice but to see. And I'm muting and blocking these people that I just are so goddamn annoying. But oh my God, metal Twitter is where cancel culture lives. Like, that is where people go and they just shit on things and they just ruin your happiness. Like, it is the most toxic scene I have ever seen. Like, more toxic than YouTube, more toxic than Facebook. And like I said, with YouTube and Facebook, like, you can choose not to watch a video. You just, all right, done, I'm not going to watch this and keep going. You can choose to just not read the comments on a post. With Twitter, it's there in your face because that's their post. And then for me, I'm a sucker and I click, let's see this thread, and I just read the comments. And sometimes within that thread, I find some people that I'm like, okay, this is a logical person that I can probably tolerate following, and then I follow them and it's been okay. But there are some people on there that make it their mission to like just find something wrong, bitch about it, and try to get the pitchforks out and get a crowd around them and just take it down. And I don't understand that at all. Some things are valid. Like, if this person's a piece of shit, if they've abused an animal, if they've abused a person, if whatever else, like, yeah, destroy them. But then there's just the people that just don't like something and they do their best to goddamn make sure nobody else likes it. And those are the people that I cannot stand and that I choose not to even get myself involved with because, oh, it enrages me. And lately, it's been that cancel culture thing. Um, Fuck Travis Ryan because he got mad that a 14-year-old kid leaked the album cover for the new Cannibal Corpse, not Cannibal Corpse, Jesus Christ, Cattle Decapitation album cover on Reddit. And this kid's been doing it to other bands too. And he went off about it. And he said he didn't really know if it was actually a 14-year-old kid, to it might not have been. It went back and forth. And Metal Twitter took that and ate him alive. Fuck this guy, he's unhinged, you're a baby, all these things. Like, why does it matter? And just, it was on fire. Like, fuck Cattle Decapitation, fuck Travis Ryan, screw this band, don't support them. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. This is what Twitter is, huh? Alright. I don't want any part of this. I don't give a shit. Like, he was pissed off. And you guys gotta understand, like, there are artists and there are bands that do all of, like, they have all this time invested into this, and they're set dates, set press release, set contract commitments that they're trying to abide by to tell the story and promote it the way they want and whatever else. And some asshole hacks some system and leaks it. And I know it happens. It's been happening for years. You know, this starts back from the Napster days of Metallica and them being upset. But like, there's just some bullshit into that. Like, come on. So I'm more on the label side of things, the artist side of things, understanding why they're upset. So I get it. But like, just the metal Twitter, people came out, they put on their fucking, Antifa hoodies, and I shouldn't say that. They put on their, I have a higher moral ground than other people, and they come on and they get their keyboard warrior fingers ready, and they just go and they start taking people out. And it's like, fucking Jesus Christ, do you guys even work? Like, what are you doing right now? It's 12 o'clock. Are you on your lunch break? Like, my God. So yeah, unfortunately, got into the metal Twister, and like, I made my name Melanie Loves DM. I was gonna start promoting shit on there and try to get a Twitter following, and no, I'm good. I don't need to try to get into that social media. I'm good. Now, there are good things about Twitter. I mean, I met Trevor from the Black Dahlia Murder on Twitter. He was super active on there. You do see what's being released. I do talk to the guys on Night Shift from there. Every once in a while, I go back and forth, $20 spin guys. Like, we joke about things. Like, there are those good things. But unfortunately, with how the Twitter algorithm is, the bads are outweighing the goods, and I don't always see those. And it's just being forced to find people and see people that I just would care less and don't want to get to know. So that's the recent thing that has happened in the metal space, was the Travis Ryan outburst of an asshole kid that leaked their new album cover. And then now, I would not have even known about this if it wasn't for Twitter. Profound Lore, the label, is now being canceled because they associated with that asshole from Disma, or used to be in Disma, he's not anymore, who is like got some Nazi bands that he's in, like Storm Fuhrer or whatever. And we've got that whole guilty, you're a Nazi sympathizer by association because of this band bullshit. And so now Metal Twitter has gone and been like, boycott Profound Lore, stop signing to Profound Lore. And then they're pissed because now Mizmor signed with Profound Lore, and like, they're just going off over there about this. And like, like I said, I don't know, Craig Pollard, however the fuck you say this guy's name, he's got a lot of skeletons in his closets and a lot of things that people are not happy about. And apparently, I don't know, like, somebody from Profound Lore, I don't know the whole story, to be honest with you. Like, they either said they were still friends with him or something. I don't know, but this guy's got Gestapo 666 has swastikas on their shit. He's also in a Stormfuhrer. I don't know. He's a Nazi like aficionado, which is a thing apparently. And there's some interview that popped up back in 2002 when he talks about how if he could meet one person, living or dead, who would it be? And he said Hitler, because he could have had the world. And like, it's some straight up Kanye West shit. That's essentially what Kanye West has been doing. So now people are going after Profound Lore because of the connections with this guy. And they're just tweeting about it. You know, I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Nobody's perfect. And obviously, fuck you if you've got an SBM band. Like, come on now. And fuck you if that's the ideology that you're going to start following and promoting. Obviously, I don't condone that whatsoever. But there are connections to shitheads everywhere. Like, I am connected to a couple of shitheads in my life. And yeah, I get along with them. And they're not totally cut out. But we're not like best friends or anything like that. That doesn't make me a fucking Nazi sympathizer. Not at all. And so I think some people just really, really need to knock it off with that shit. Again, I don't know the whole story around it. I purposely just didn't dig down into it. I don't know if whoever runs Profound Lore came out and said, hey, fuck you all, I support this guy. I've just seen some people that are like, boycott Profound Lore, stop signing to an NSBM, to this label because he's a Nazi sympathizer. But it looks like, I don't know. I'm not too well versed in the topic. But yeah, Metal Twitter has shown that to me, and I wouldn't have even known anything about it. But like they're pumping out good music, and they've always pumped out good music, and so like I don't know, is the guy that runs Profound Lore a complete shithead? Like what are the bases around this? Like, is he actually a Nazi too? Because as far as I know, like the bands that he's releasing are not like Goat Moon. And he's, the Afterbirth, Mortiferum, like some of the really best death metal bands that have come out recently. Suffering Hours, another one. Even that new Mesmer is probably going to be awesome. So I don't know. I just feel like it's another week, another cancel story of somebody being associated to somebody with some sort of sketchy ass background. Oh, cosmic putrefaction or putrefaction. God, I can't fucking talk. Like that was another great release. Yeah, I don't know. I'm scrolling Twitter right now if you are noticing that my eyes are diverted. I'm trying to look for the tweet that pretty much somebody going off and being like, boycott them, this is why, and I can't find it, so I don't know if it got deleted or if it's been buried. Like Apparition was another amazing. See, now I'm back into October. That's not going to be it. And Twitter's not working anymore. Great. Well, I don't know. If you're watching this and you know what the hell I'm talking about, let me see what your thoughts on this. But yeah, Twitter is kind of a cesspool now. Maybe it always has been. I just haven't been very mindful of that. I don't know. But let me just see what I can find on Reddit. Oh, yes, here we go. Here's my favorite guy on Twitter that I can't stand. Contributions if you... Blah, 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 blah. This is not just cancel culture to boycott the labels connected to Nazism. Funding this label says a very potential fund of fascist movements. Stop. Oh, my God. There's a literal blog post? Oh, it's gone. It's gone. It's been deleted. Okay. Well, it was... I don't know. I'm digging down and I'm diverting myself now. The whole point of this topic was Metal Twitter is a cesspool, and I've decided to not be involved with that. But if for whatever reason you find me on Twitter, I probably won't post as much on there. Probably would just be much of the same of following, the cesspool that there is of politics and making troll jokes over there, like, just to piss people off. I don't really, actually, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. I mostly follow Twitter for my sports news. I really love a lot of the people that I engage with on there in terms of like Chicago sports. Like I follow like the ESPN Chicago sports announcers, and I follow a lot of like the athletes and stuff, and like that's mostly what I use Twitter for. And I just started, getting myself immersed into the metal space, and kind of don't want to anymore. Don't mind following bands and labels, obviously, but I get a lot of the same from Instagram and Facebook as well. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on Twitter? Finally, the last thing that I wanted to talk about to wrap up this 1 hour long blab fest of my first ever Melanie Loves Death Metal podcast is I have come across a band. Actually, it wasn't me. It was about 10 of you have come and told me about a band that I need to check out. I finally did it. I bought the CD. I'm obsessed. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for that. And that is the band called Stabbing. That is right. Stabbing. Let's see here. Let me carry this over. Show on the screen. Can you see it? No, you can't. Well, all right. If you're listening to this on not YouTube. So Stabbing is a band that is a brutal death metal band on Comatose Records. They are based out of Texas. I think they have their first full-length album that was released December, very early December. And I've seen a lot of people talking about this band. They've shared it with me on Instagram. They've sent me the Bandcamp link. Hey, have you listened to this yet? Hey, you should check this out. Why wasn't this in your year-end list? Listen to this. And I've seen Maggot Stomp, Scott, I believe, showed like his favorite albums of the year. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups now. And Stabbing was on there. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And I think might have been Paul from Corpse Crystal. I can't remember. Another person from a label. Stabbing was on their list. And then I see people on Twitter, Stabbing. They're great. They're not saying bad things about Stabbing on there. People on YouTube showing off the CD, talking about it. And so finally, I listened to it 4 times in a row yesterday. My God. Like, again, with brutal death metal, it's a brutal death metal band. I get bored with new brutal death metal. Like, I can't. Sometimes it all sounds the same. Sometimes it makes no sense to me. Sometimes it's just a turn off because it's so misogynist and they're just like talking about raping and killing women, and I don't understand that whatsoever. Obviously, earlier bands like Devourment did that. I get it, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I get tired of that. I get tired of that. This band, however, has piqued my interests. I listened to it, and I bought the CD. I'm excited. I just got a shipping notification for it this morning, so happy to get that into the collection. If it presses on vinyl, definitely going to buy that. It's a great, great album. It's fun. It's got intense, maniacal drumming. Like, this drummer is intense. And great guitar lines and the stereotypical brutal death metal guitar lines and the types of vocals and everything. And last night I'm like, okay, I follow them on Instagram. Let's find them on Facebook. Let's follow them. Let's get into their space so I know when they're going to be going on tour, when new merch is dropping, if they're going to be making new music. And I follow them on Instagram and I start looking at some reels and I'm like, hold up a minute. This is a female-fronted brutal death metal band. Holy shit! And that was it. I was like, I'm in love. This is incredible. How many other female-fronted brutal death metal bands out there are there? I'll wait. In the comments below, tell me that are good. Key factor here. I just was blown away, and you can't tell. You can't tell at all. And it doesn't matter. Even if you could tell, it wouldn't have mattered. I just didn't expect that. I didn't know. It was a pre-assumption that this was an all-male band. I mean, it's in a very heavy male genre of death metal. I didn't expect it. And this girl's got pipes. My God. And they've also got another female in their band. Let me pull up the band here on Metal Archives. Their members are Merle Martinez on bass, Renee Martinez on drums, Marvin Reese on guitars, and then Bridget Lynch on vocals. I'm going to edit some videos in here, or some pictures in here. So yeah, I was just blown away. Merle's got an amazing bass line, like an amazing bass player. Like, Jesus Christ, like, just slaps those strings. The drums are insane, like I said, and it looks like Renee has been in another band that I'm familiar with, Flesh Hoarder. So yeah, that was some stuff that I was familiar with that he's worked on. But maniacal drumming on this, and then the guitars are chunky and fast and just brutal. They got the brutes. But then the vocalist Bridget Lynch, I was just did not expect that. And I'm not to say like this has me sold even more. It just was a nice added bonus because I had already bought the CD. I was just following them on social media so that way I knew what the hell was going on. So bravo, guys. It's a great album. It's fun. I'm going to go back and listen to the EP that came out, I think last year or year before. Probably going to buy it. So yeah, I just wanted to do a shout out to Stabbing. That's what I've been listening to. Their album is called Extirpated Mortal Process. If you're familiar with my channel, I can never pronounce album titles. Reading is hard. Yeah, links will be in the description. I'm going to edit some images up here. And then to end this, I'm going to do a small, tiny fade out clip of some Stabbing. That's all that I have, you guys. Let me know what you think about the Death Metal Podcast, Melanie Loves Death Metal Podcast. I'm going to try and get a guest on for the next one so you're not just listening to me blab for an hour. And yeah, if you got some topics you want me to cover, comment. Because that's probably where I'm going to go with this, is talk about topics that you want me to cover. The next one will probably be out in February, so that's in like 2 weeks. And yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.